success on TV was Tristan in All Creatures Great and Small. What do you remember most about it?
Oh, well, it's going back a long way now, so memories fade. But I remember actually going up for the part. And one of the big things was they asked me if I smoked, because the big thing about Tristan was that he smoked these terrible cigarettes, these things called Woodbines, which are non-filtered cigarettes. So I said, of course, because I wanted the part, I said I did smoke, although I didn't smoke. So when we actually had to come to do the series, I had to always have these cigarettes in my mouth, these terrible Woodbines, smoking continually. And of course, you've never smoked, I understand that. But if you smoke a cigarette with no filter in it, the tobacco starts coming out at the end of the cigarette, and you spend the whole time going. So if you look at the first few episodes of All Creatures, that's what you'll see. Of course, the other thing I remember is reading in the script that it said in one scene, Tristan has his arm up a cow. And I couldn't honestly believe that they seriously were expecting me to put my arm up a cow, but it turned out that that's exactly what they expected, so that's what I had to do. So that's burned into my memory, that experience.
How were you chosen to play the title role in Doctor Who?
What happened was when I was doing All Creatures Great and Small, one of the people working on it left the series, the technical people, to become the producer of Doctor Who. And about 3 years later, he just rang me up one night and said, how do you feel about being the next Doctor? And that was it, really. He knew me from All Creatures, and so thought I'd make a good Doctor Who. I was just offered it. I didn't have to audition, which is always nice.
Did you have any favorite villains on the show?
Well, my favourite villain, I suppose, was the Master, because he was kind of like me. He was another Time Lord. He'd gone very bad, so he would be my favourite villain, I suppose. Apart from that, I was always very partial to the Cybermen. They were very nasty. And, of course, the Daleks.
After you left Doctor Who, you did what I think is some of your best work on the TV show Campion. Was that a fun show to do?
It was, yeah. No, I really enjoyed it. I knew the books a bit. The books had been written by someone called Marjorie Allingham. And the BBC went out and bought a car that he drives. He drives a Lagonda in the series. And the BBC actually went out and bought it and gave it to me but told me to take it away and learn how to drive it, which was a very difficult thing because it had what they call a manual crash gearbox. Again, we live in the age now of automatic gearboxes, so we don't have to worry about things like that. But it took me a good couple of days to master just driving the car. And it was great working with Brian Glover, who played Lug. It was excellent. So it was a nice series to do.
You sang the theme song to Campion, didn't you?
Well, I kind of la-la'd along to the theme tune of Campion. Yeah, I didn't actually sing it. There weren't actually words as such, but I sort of went la-la-la-la-la-la-la. So that's about as close as I came to singing it.
Many of your U.S. friends are unaware of that you have a successful musical career in England.
Well, I don't know if musical career is right. I have written a couple of theme tunes to series that have been written, and I've written a couple of songs which were released as singles. One of them did very well in Japan. I don't know if you categorise it as successful, but I certainly still write songs. I find it a nice way to relax, and I have in my house a little recording studio.
A few months ago, PBS in the United States ran one more of your recent series, the Mrs. Bradley Mysteries.
Yeah.
What was it like playing opposite Dame Diana Rick?
Well, it was a bit scary, really, actually, to tell you the truth. But it was fun. I mean, it was nice, and in the end, I don't know if I should reveal this, but it's been out so people would know. I turned out to be bad in it. I played a detective who, in the end, turned out to be a murderer. It was very nice working with her, but I did find she is quite a daunting lady to work with. Maybe that's because she's a dame, I don't know.
The last episode showed a completely different side of your character, Inspector Christmas. Was the series always planned to end that way, or was that something that developed as the show went along?
I don't know. You know, that's what I just mentioned. He turns out to be bad in the last story he's in. I don't honestly know the answer to that, if they planned it or not. I certainly wasn't told about it if it was planned. But it was quite nice that it turned out that way, because you know, it's a bit more of a challenge when you're playing a villain.
You played a wide variety of characters over the years. Is it true that you once played a cow in The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy?
Yeah, I played a thing called an Amygdalian Major Cow, who was otherwise known as the Dish of the Day. This was in an episode called The Restaurant at the End of the Universe, because what happened at the restaurant at the end of the universe is the actual meal that people wanted to eat was actually came up and offered themselves up to him. So he was still alive. So my first line, I think, was that I am the dish of the day. Can I interest you in parts of my body? And was actually saying, oh, my arm tastes very nice. I know it's pretty hot, you know. So yeah, it was a great part to do. It was only about 2 minutes long. It was good.
I understand that Peter Davison is your stage name. Can you tell me why you don't use your real name?
I don't use my real name because there was someone with that name. In Britain, there's an organisation called Equity, which is the Actors Union, and you're only allowed to have one person in it with one particular name. And that my real name was already taken up by somebody else, so I had to choose another name. So that's why.
Like many of your fellow Doctor Who actors, you participated in great audio dramas for Big Finish production. Is there any that is a particular favorite?
I love doing them. You know, the thing about them is, because your involvement with them is very, very brief. It's very concentrated but very brief, so that you get the script and then you go in about 4 days later and you do the story. So if I'm perfectly honest with you, there's several that I've enjoyed, but I cannot for the life of me remember the names of them, because because you don't, unlike the actual Doctor Who program, you don't rehearse it, you don't learn the lines, you don't remember it that well, so they kind of go out of my brain fairly quickly. So I think they're all good.
Now that Doctor Who is coming back in the air,
yeah.
I have to ask, if the producers invite you, would you be willing to come back for a reunion special?
Oh, you mean as one of the other Doctors with the new Doctor? Yeah, I don't mind doing that. Yeah, I think probably. I mean, there are less and less of us around, unfortunately, now, so it wouldn't exactly be all the Doctors together, but yeah, it's a nice idea, but, you know, I'm easy about it. I'm fortunate enough to be doing plenty of other stuff, so.
Oh, by the way, the reason that I named Colin is from a good friend of yours, Colin Baker.
Colin Baker? Oh, sorry, I just got carried away.
Got that on video.
Oh, what? We showed this on real TV.
No, Colin's a very good friend of mine. We used to live very close together, and funnily enough, our daughters used to be in the same class at school when they were young, when they were about sort of 5 or 6. And the extraordinary thing about that was that you know how everyone in your class has got, you know, their parents do different jobs. Well, the most common profession for the fathers in that particular class was being an ex-Doctor Who, which is a fairly unusual state of affairs. It was like one bank manager, you know, one stockbroker, 2 fathers who'd been Doctor Who. So.
Well, I'd like to thank you for your time.
Great pleasure, and I'm very sorry I tried to strangle you. I take it back. I didn't mean to.
No, it's okay. It's over.
Okay.
It's really okay.
Okay. He's leaving now.